I wanted to cover a little bit more material than I mean, when we started these sessions, it was solely focused on job hunting and job interviewing, which is very valuable. Everybody in the program needs that. But it was I want to cover all the other topics as well, like more related to the speciality of this program, which is working multiple fully remote jobs. So now we have condensated the job hunting and job interviewing call on this one, which will be, all calls will be on Wednesday. So it will be one weekly call on Wednesday, every Wednesday. And I think there's a little break. So it's like 3 calls, three meetups, 3 live streams, and then a week, like just a break, right? Like for me. And so the new schedule is like first Wednesday is job hunting and job interviewing, so combining them in one. The second Wednesday is job stacking tips, so like again more specific to working, the logistics of working multiple jobs and multiple full-time jobs at the same time, job stacking. And then the third one is kind of like free form, like kind of like just ask me anything, like just a chill stream, like where we can discuss different trends, different news, but not like political news or something like that, but like news on the front of remote work, that sort of stuff. I didn't want to wait 2 more weeks to discuss a couple of things with you. So the first, we're going to discuss something related to the trends in remote work today. I have a more comprehensive, basically report on the situation of remote work, which is very good, actually. Let me spoil it a little bit. Like I've been telling you, because people have been asking me on these live sessions, like, how do I see remote work? Like everybody's very concerned about remote opportunities not being available. And I always told you that it was kind of like a psyop on the part of the media, of like there was a very violent like attack, right? Like on the media a couple months ago, or it lasted for a few months. It ended a couple months ago. But in 2024, there was just like this onslaught of like just media headlines of like everybody returning to office, everybody like remote is dead, like everybody's returning to the office. Even not that long ago, it was the Amazon, full-time RTO mandate, that sort of stuff. But as always, headlines are not reality. But I'm going to talk about that's not what I want to talk about today. That's what I'm going to talk about. Not next Wednesday, the Wednesday after that. I'm going to dig into something called the Flex reports, the Flex report that has the actual data on it, and the actual data bears what I was talking about on that remote is doing fine and it's actually growing. But like I said, like you'll have to wait until the chill stream. Not next Wednesday, the Wednesday after that. All right, what do I want to talk about in this session? So I want to talk about 2 things. And as always, after I give my little presentation, at the end, you are free to ask me anything. There's Q&A, open Q&A. It doesn't have to be about what I spoke about my presentation, about the topics that I covered. It can just be anything, your opportunity to ask me anything. All right, so I want to talk about 2 things today. Number 1 is a study that came up recently with the top 10 most requested skills in remote jobs. So that something very important regarding this. I am not telling anybody that they should target if they don't have those skills, right? Like I'm not telling anybody, let's go out of your way to target those jobs or those skills. The fact that they're the top 10 doesn't mean that, below the top 10, there's 0 opportunities, 0 chances. Okay. So this is just to sort of like, you have that information, right? So like you can make, you can decide whatever you want to do, but I'm not rushing. I'm not pushing anybody into those 10 skills, right? Into learning any of that. One big thing that I've always said since I started, talking publicly about job stacking, one of the first things I always noticed talking to people, working with people, even informally before I started this program that you're all a part of, I always notice that, hey, there's nothing, there's any sort of white collar job can work with job stacking, right? So like as long as the work can be done remotely, as long as like it involves you having to do something with a computer, which is not necessarily coding, but like Excel, whatever, sending emails, that sort of stuff, that it's good enough, right? Like or at least you have to go with your own experience, with what you have experienced first, and then try something else, which brings me to the second thing that I want to mention today, which is, or I want to talk about, which is basically the escalation strategy on how to manage your job search, like how to be flexible, okay? And this is basically, I'm going to give you the playbook that we use. So this is something, I'm going to explain it to you, but this is the playbook that I've developed to help you guys succeed at landing a remote job, which involves being flexible and going back to kind of like, if something's not working, revising the resume and then trying something else. But there's like a process of escalation, right? Like depending on how we're doing. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to go into the top 10 skills. So the way that the playbook that I've created to maximize your chances, or the chances from anybody from landing a remote job, right? Which is not, again, with your current resume, with your skills, with anybody's fully, white collar skills, basically. Again, remember, I'm not talking about those top 10, top 10 remote skills. I'm talking about like anything, right? Like even the bottom 99 skills that could be worked remotely, right? So there's a process, right? Like the job search is not just sending out, having a resume and sending out applications and that's it, right? Like that's a lot what you see online. People just go like, oh, I sent out 1 million applications and I didn't land a job. Oh my God. And so like, that is not what we do here. We don't just sit on our butts telling you like, yeah, send 1,000 applications and eventually, heaven will provide, right? Eventually heaven will provide, but we have a way of escalating things, okay? So number one is deciding, right? Like step number one is deciding what remote role you want to target, which everybody here has a remote role they're targeting. That's good. Like I don't think there's anybody like that started like yesterday. No, you all guys have your resume. So first thing is just having, deciding on your resume, okay? Once you have your resume, you have to test it out. Like we have to test it out. We pray, right, that it's going to work. Like the first resume that you get, the first resume that we develop for you, or the first resume that we use, we pray that that's going to be enough. Okay. But sometimes it isn't, right? So the process is that we take that resume and we don't necessarily know, right, beforehand how well it's going to do, or if the resume is targeting the correct things, right? Like if it's like we're very good with resumes, right? Like that's why we take the burden of making it. We don't tell you to make your own resume, we make it for you. But there's things like, maybe there's a misalignment, something that we don't know, something that escapes us, right? That's usually not the case. That's usually like 1% of the time, that's what's happening. But it could be that the position itself that we're targeting with the resume, there's no market for it right now, right? Like I'm not saying forever, I'm not saying in general, I'm saying like right now, maybe there's just not a good timing, there's not a good moment in the market in general over a long period, over a period of time for us to be sending those applications, right? For us to be searching for those jobs. But how do we know, right? Like we can't know. And so like just sending resumes for a couple of weeks does not give us enough information, okay? So that process of just with your main resume, sending out applications, right? Like seeing what the market is like, that will usually take a couple of months, right? If you don't land, so I'm assuming this is worst case scenario again, like you're not landing any jobs, like you're not getting the second job yet. But there's two potential reasons for failure again. One is, or actually the failure can have two phases, right? The failure can have two presentations, two modes, right? Number one is that you are getting feedback. So you are sending out applications with your resume, with your job experience, right? And you are getting calls. You're getting, recruiters are responding back. You're scheduling interviews, but you get passed over. You don't get the jobs. That's one scenario. That's one possible aspect of failing, right? Like a failure in the job search. The other one, which is the more dramatic one and the one that kind of like demoralizes people, is when you don't even get anything. You don't even get a call. You don't get any feedback. It's just silence. It's just crickets. You send out application after application. You hear nothing from anybody. All right. Technically, we're not getting any job. We're not getting jobs in both situations, but they're very different. They tell us two different things. In scenario one, it tells us that the resume is working, the job market is good for that position, but you are failing on interviewing. All right, so that's why we started doing the mock interviews with you guys to help you really be sharp on your interviews, right? Because so that tells us that all we need to do is work on your interviewing skills, right? Like maybe you're saying something off-putting. Like again, I'm not talking about particularly anybody here. I'm just saying, speaking in general. You're just putting, you come off as weird, or you sound like you're not really, you get too nervous during interviews, and so you come off as like you don't know what you were talking about, and so you don't land the jobs. But you're getting traction. The resume is working, the position, there's demand in the market, but you're failing the interview. So we just got to focus on the interview. We don't got to focus on on building you another resume, trying to target another position, right? But but that is not the case in the second scenario, where you're not even getting feedback, right? So like if it's been months, like 2 months, and you've sent, so it's a combination of time and applications sent, because we can say, well, it's been 2 months. All right. How many applications have we sent? Oh, 20 applications. All right. Like we got to send a little bit more. But if it's like 2 months and you've sent over 100 applications, and you're not even getting like one call, like one screening call, then we need to escalate, right? We still don't know if it's the resume, and we still don't know if it's the job market. So what else could it be? Like I misled you a little bit. We're still not ready to make that call. What is the next step to kind of like be sure that that it is the resume, or it is in the resume, or that it is the market, or it is in the market? Well, there's a third variable, which is the quality of the job listings, of the jobs that we've been applying to, or that you've been applying to, right? Like I say, we as like a team, right? The issue is that the first step, right? Like if you remember the job hunting guide that you guys should have access to, or one way or another, you've had this information given to you, and if not, well, my bad. But here you go. Remember that there's 2 avenues of attack in the beginning to search for a job, right? Like number one is sending out like cold outreach, which is like you send out applications, right? Like to employers that you don't know and they don't know you, right? Like there's no networking involved. And then there's the other of you being found, right? Like this is why we tell you to optimize your LinkedIn, optimize your profiles in multiple employment websites. But the problem is that with all the free employment websites, Indeed, even LinkedIn, right? Like Dice, ZipRecruiter, all those that we give you out, like we tell you to create profiles in, and the ones that are on our list of job websites, employment websites. The problem is that because they're free, sometimes this is not this is not an iron law of job listings, but sometimes, and this is the third factor, the third variable that we need to discard, is that sometimes the job listings are not real. So you send out 100 applications, and it turns out that 20 of them were real. So we did not really send out 100 applications. Why does this happen? And I've talked about this, but I've mentioned this at different points, in different sessions, and in different materials, different guides. But the reason is that sometimes employers put out a job listing in one of these websites, which are not that expensive for them. Sometimes they're free, right? And because they're not paying any cost, right? Like they're not paying any money to have the listing there. They don't care about it, right? Like they either put like a fake one, and it's fake in the sense of like they posted, but they don't really want to hire anybody. They want to like collect resumes, or it's literally like just or all right, so it's like a legitimate one. It was a legitimate job listing at one point, right? Where they were looking for somebody, they hired the person, and then nobody closed the listing, right? Like nobody said, nobody closed, nobody put sold, right? Like a big sold sign right in front of the house. Like nobody put sold in front of the job listing and closed it, right? It just remained open, but it was real at some point. Then the other explanation is what I said. They're not looking to hire anybody. They're looking to just collect resumes for the future. Employers do this. I'm not even at this point, at this stage, I'm not 100% sure why they do this. But sometimes they do it, and sometimes you'll hear back from. I mean, I guess I kind of know what they do. It. They have a database, and then when they need somebody, they can just like, we have this collection of resumes already. But so they send out, they months later they send out, they may contact you about the application that you sent, months ago. All right. Which is why this is why I tell you sometimes as well that, sometimes like the seeds that you planted months ago will flourish, will grow later. Right. But it's not a guarantee because we don't know. Right. Like it's a possibility. Then the worst possibility is that it was like literally a fake posting. It was like a ghost posting. There's no real employer behind it. It's just like spammers trying to get people's emails and phone numbers. And I'm sure some of you have that already happen where, like you have your phone number, your real phone number on your resume, or your real email on your resume, as you should. And all of a sudden, like your information gets leaked. And it's like all fake, right? Like, so this is fairly common, right? Like I'm not saying 100% of the time or anything of this sort, but this happens. This is a real possibility. This is a real life, real life scenario, basically. So that's why I'm telling you, like, we still don't know at this stage, if you're not getting interviews, even after 2 months and over 100 applications sent, you're still not getting any interview, like not even a call from a recruiter, like a screening call. We still don't know if it's the resume or the job, the role that you're applying to. We're still not 100% sure. So we need to escalate further. What's this next step? What's this next escalation in the job hunt process? We need to start looking for paid employment websites. So examples are the ladders, which is usually focused on tech stuff, like project management, finance, like they don't do like all kinds of jobs, or Workster, or some other options. I'm gonna have a little list. I'm gonna post it here in the community in the next couple of days with the list of paid websites, paid employment websites that you can use. So what's the logic behind this? They're paid both for you and they're more expensive for the employer. So what does this mean? It means that we don't want to like just be there forever, be there months and months and paying them for months and months, right? Like we want to try it out for a month, right? Like you sign up, if they have a free trial that lasts a month, great, that's what we're going to use. If not, we're just gonna, bite the bullet and pay for a month and send out the applications there. Why? Because the fact that it's paid, right? Like the fact that you are paying, right? Like job applicants are paying and employers are paying, either paying, right? Like right out of the bat or right out of the gate, or paying more than they would in the other websites. It means that people are not screwing around. It means that it's not because Indeed doesn't care that you don't find a job. They really don't care, right? Like they should, but they don't care because they're not in the business of getting you a job. They're in the business of just being the market maker. They're just like, hey, I don't know. Like I connect people and that's it, right? Like Indeed and Dice and all the other free tier websites, basically free tier employment websites. They don't care about you finding a job because they don't, they're not charging you for anything, so they don't care. They want you, as a matter of fact, they want you to spend more time sending applications. And that's basically their business, their logic. These other websites, though, if you're not if you're paying whatever a month, right? Like, and sometimes it's not cheap, and you're not getting, and you're sending applications and you're not getting even responses. That hurts them, because then you're going to say like, oh, this is a waste of time. I'm never going to pay for this again. Whereas if you are landing jobs, like if you're getting traction, some sort of traction with the job listings that they have, well, you're going to be more likely to keep paying, right? Like because the service is good, basically. And the same with basically the mirror logic on the side of the employer, right? Like it's like, hey, we're spending money having our job listings here. And you're telling me like we hired somebody months ago and we've been paying to have this job listing open for months because nobody on the team remembered to close it. That's not going to happen when you have an expensive service. So basically, at the end of the day, it's the fact is that, or the logic behind this step is that we are removing that uncertainty of like, are the job listings real? Okay. Because or low quality, okay? And so in these, if they were, if they weren't as expensive, we would tell you right away, let's go for it. But we want to try the free options first, and then if it's not working, then that's when we try out the paid options, but only for a little while. Again, trying to minimize the amount of money that you guys have to spend to land the job. But basically, this is the logic behind this is the last step before going back to the drawing board. Right? So last step, escalation, is you have your public profiles optimized, right? LinkedIn, Dice, all that stuff that I already talked about. You have your profiles, so that you're found, right? Like, so you're open to recruiters finding you. You send out cold outreach in the free tier, in the free applications. You either get traction or you don't. But after you don't get traction, the next step is moving to the paid job listings, to the paid job employment websites. Once after a month and very disciplined, sending applications each week, you don't get any calls. Again, you're not getting even calls. Then that tells us that, okay, so there's something wrong with either the resume, like I already told you, not necessarily, not likely the resume itself, the document, you're going to be fine, but the most likely situation is that we're not targeting the right position. Right now, there are not enough jobs on the market for you to, for this to be worth the time that we're investing in trying to land this particular job. So that's when our team will reach out to you to basically discuss crafting another resume, targeting some other position, right? Like based on your skills or based on your preferences, and just go with something else. And then we repeat the process. Okay. So now nobody has done this. Like there's some people in the program that we've had to do this, like we've had to implement this with, and they always succeed at the ladder's point, right? Like they always tend to succeed. That's usually the case, right? But we've also had a couple that we've had to basically craft them another resume and then start the process again. The key here is that you're being flexible, you're pivoting to different things, because a lot of the times when people basically give up on searching for a job, or they get really discouraged, or they get frustrated, and I have to keep addressing these TikToks and this these online posts about people like, I've sent 1,000 applications. There's the number of applications is basically, it's not meaningless, but it doesn't tell you the full picture. It's like they don't have an approach, they don't have an escalation of like doing something different, trying different things, targeting different roles. Like people in the single employment mindset, and this is part of the beauty of job stacking, right? Is that you are more looking, it's like job stacking is more about you being like a salesman, right? Like that is out there trying to get clients. Okay, like you're trying to get leads, or like you have a business, not a salesman actually. You're more like a business. So the beauty of job stacking is that you kind of become a business owner yourself. Like you're now treating employment like a business. And so what you're doing is going out there finding leads. Okay, and so sometimes when you have to find leads, you have to adjust your messaging. You can't just like use the same ads or the same script, the same resume, right? And then go out and trying to get leads, right? Like trying to close a sale with that, right? If you see that something's not working, you got to have ways of determining why it's not working and then pivoting. And that's exactly what the framework, this is, the escalation steps that we have created here in the job stacking program provides you, right? So now I'm explaining all this to you, but you don't have to remember everything that I'm saying. Like you can just remember the basic framework of what I'm talking about, because AJ and I are here to basically guide you. Like we're going to be here to tell you, like, it's time to do this. It's time to go to the ladder, to the paid employment websites. It's time to do another resume. Or tell you the opposite. It's like, no, it's not time to do any of those things. It's a little bit early to give up on what we've been doing. So you don't have to like think too much about it. You don't have to be on top of it. We're going to be on top of it. All you have to do is be disciplined about sending out the applications and being open about pivoting to something else if it comes to that, right? Like I said, most of our students, it doesn't come to that, but it has happened. And so that I'm just telling you that's how we handle it. And that is pretty much it on that particular subject. I don't know if I want to do Q&A at the end or let you guys ask me questions right now. Let's do questions right now about what I just said. Like, do you guys have not open Q&A? This isn't a Q&A about everything, about anything that comes to mind. But if you have any questions regarding the little presentation, the little talk I just gave about the framework of how to escalate and pivot within the job search. Have you ever heard of remotejobs.io? I think it may be free, not sure. I think we have it on the list, but I haven't looked too deep into it. I'm gonna do like I said, I'm working on a more comprehensive list of the paid employment websites, and I'm gonna put them on like their own list so that they live on their own. So if remotejobs.io is paid, I'll put it there. If it's not, I'm pretty sure we have it on the list. So I'll just make a special note of if it's paid or not. All right. If nobody else has any questions about what I just the talk that I just gave about the points I made, I'm going to move on to the other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, which are the top 10 skills that are in demand for remote work. So you guys keep in mind, because you want to target some of them. Again, I'm not pushing anybody to, if you don't have those skills, any of those skills, then it's fine. Like it's fine. You don't have to worry about it. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions regarding this. So I'll just move on. This is pretty straightforward. It's top 10 skills for remote work. The source for this is a report that basically measured keywords and keywords and skills, and the amount of job listings that were open in Upwork, which I don't like Upwork, but whatever. That's the study that they made, and LinkedIn. So this is why I'm taking it somewhat seriously what they're saying. Take it with a grain of salt. Like I'm going to tell you this information. I talk about studies, but know that I'm kind of like skeptical about studies in general. I will only talk about a study. I will only quote it or bring it to your attention if it is coterminous with what I see in my, basically my own personal expertise working with you guys and working in the market and paying attention to trends myself. So it's kind of like I filter the studies myself and then bring them to you. But know that I hate this like just what the experts say and quoting authorities for the sake of quoting them, and like nobody looked at anything, nobody thought about the premises of the study, whatever. I'm skeptical of studies in general of these sort of stuff. But again, if the study was just Upwork, I wouldn't even mention it to you because the quality of jobs in Upwork is usually not very good. It's like short-term freelance stuff, not, compatible with job stacking in the sense of that they're, a lot of them are remote. Well, most of them are remote, but yeah, I don't necessarily, I'm not a fan of Upwork, at least anymore. Like there was a time, they used to be called something else before Upwork. That was the good time, and a little bit after after they changed their name to Upwork, it was still good. But anyway, the point is that they use LinkedIn, and I do kind of trust LinkedIn more. I think LinkedIn is a little bit more serious and has better quality jobs than Upwork. So this is what I'm bringing this information to you again. So again, know that when I quote a study or like bring it to your attention, it's good. it's good enough because I'm skeptical of studies. They have to pass my bullshit filter basically. So it's like I'm giving you something filtered by my bullshit detector. Anyway, let's start. So the number one, but I want to say that, well, now let's make it in order. Let's make it in order. So teamwork in the sense of roles that are admin support, basically. So clerical work in a sense, right? So these type of roles, they encompass like 49% of remote roles, according to the study. Again, take the numbers with a grain of salt. The numbers usually are not real. As a matter of fact, I regret telling you the number. Forget I said the number. Numbers aren't real. Let's just do it in order and don't quote numbers. But I already said it, so whatever, it covers 50%, right? So that tells you what I said, what I mentioned earlier, that it's like regular white collar jobs are in demand for remote work, right? Like it's not just tech. Now let's talk about tech. Another analytical thinking. All right, so engineering and architecture, and usually it's like engineering, not necessarily systems engineering or IT architecture. So this is engineering in general, right? Software development is number 3, which not surprising. So things like IT and network admin. As a matter of fact, one of our most recent successes, Matt. He's a network admin, and he landed like 4 jobs. Like he went from 1 job to 4 in like 3 weeks. Problem solving skills. So these are related to sales and marketing, right? So we're admin support, which is like just like clerical work, like airsats, white collar jobs. Then engineering and architecture, but engineering in general, I don't know why they always mix architecture with engineering. As a matter of fact, like taking that out, bullshit filter, taking architecture out. Engineering, so we're talking about electrical engineering, civil engineering, that sort of stuff, and systems engineering as well. So all kinds of engineering without specification. Then it's software development, IT and network administration. Then it's sales and marketing, which I've been talking a lot about recently on Twitter. Sales and marketing. Then there's specifically Java and JavaScript. So it's IT, SQL and Python, more IT. Data analysis, so this is a big one. So data science and data analysis, I've always said they've been good for job stacking, for remote work, always known it. One of the bigger ones, a lot of my clients, which they have, we still have a couple here in the mentorship, but a lot of them that have already kind of like moved on, graduated, right? Like, success cases a long time ago. A lot of them were from data related stuff. Then we have leadership skills, and this is related to, again, admin support. So this is like project management, maybe tech leader, a scrum master even. Other jobs that are not as much like, this is towards the bottom of the top 10. So it's not like there's crazy demand, the demand for those jobs, but there's still, it's still in the top 10, right? Then we have sales, again, sales and marketing, specifically led, but this is like the skill of sales. So this is more specific, this is sales, right? Like, so if you can sell something, like if you can sell product, then, you're finding a lot of success getting remote jobs. which I've personally witnessed as well. Like for instance, I have two sales representatives. So even this company has two, right? Like we have some, and we have a customer success manager, which AJ. So that tells you again, like it passes my bullshit filter, but it's kind of because it's kind of like a reflection of what I see in real life, not only in my business but with you guys. So sales, big one, and then we have customer service, right? So if you notice, software like IT is still kind of king of remote work. That always has been the case. It will probably remain the case for a very long time. But if you notice, the main, okay, so it's like software development, IT is still king, like I said. But there's still, even in this top 10, there's a lot of things that are not related to IT. There's a lot of things that are just related to, like admin support, like again, regular white collar work. And then it's the more specific ones. So it's like regular white collar work. The problem is that each individual job that comprises that category, like none of them is cracking the top 10, right? Like there's not like, I don't know, what am I thinking? Like virtual assistant, right? Like there's not like, oh, there's this boom for virtual assistants, right? Like it's like all together, right? So, but that tells you that you don't have to be in IT to find a remote job. IT is still king, but it's customer success, sales, right? And just regular clerical work is still a big part of remote work. So with that being said, that's the top 10. I'll post the numbers and stuff. Like I'll make a post in the community later. I didn't want to get bogged down with the numbers here in the presentation and like the stats themselves. I just wanted to, conversationally go over all this stuff with you right now. But I'll make a post in the community so you have like a more visual resource on what to do. But again, don't pay too much attention to this. This is just like trivia. Like this is just like interesting information that I wanted to share with you, just so that you're aware of it. I'm not pushing anybody to get into IT. A big thing of mine since the beginning has been that you don't have to learn how to code to do this. The concept is proven with many people that are not in IT. So like it's like IT just started. Tech just started the trend of embracing remote work, and there's still, because of the nature of particularly the U.S. economy, Western economies in general, there's still a lot of availability of jobs for those roles. But again, like I always said, you don't need to be in IT to do job stacking. It makes it easier. Like if you're in IT, it's gonna make it a little bit easier. Like again, like Matt, that he went from like 1 to 4 jobs. But the problem is that you have to have you kind of have the skills. You kind of have the skills. Like I'm very open about embellishing resumes and like crafting resumes that are not exactly a match to your work experience. But if it's something that you're not going to be able to pass a job interview, then it makes no sense. Like we're just wasting our time. Like I'd be wasting my time and your time and my team's time. So it has to be something that you can pass a job interview, right? Like a test, right? Like a technical test. And for most, again, admin support, clerical work, sales, customer management, that sort of stuff, that's easy to learn. Like you can pass job interviews for those type of roles. And I'm talking about, if you need your resume embellished. But if you don't need your resume embellished, like if you already have experience in one of these areas, then it's just better to play your strengths, basically. Play towards your strength, be on the side of what you already know. And that's a little bit of the logic that we use when determining what kind of resume we're going to craft.